Good afternoon, and welcome to the Wednesday afternoon conference call with Trusts Unlimited. This is Jim George speaking. I'm the non-attorney spokesman and facilitator for Trusts Unlimited, and I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to listen to this call. It is January 17th. Some things have occurred since our last call. I'm looking forward to getting into them with you. If the things we discuss on this call are of interest to you, I would strongly suggest you click the subscribe button so that you can get our weekly calls. This will be a shorter call today, largely because of a lot of existing clients and prospective clients that are interested in getting our initial trust package, and they're all of the view that this thing could happen rather quickly, and I'm in agreement. So at least for this week, we're going to dispense with the discussion of the trust package itself. However, we will not turn anyone away. We will work with anyone that requests our trust package, sends in an application. We're just not going to be discussing the trust package today. I want to get into the information that we have. I'm going to dispense with our disclaimer and to get right into our information. First, I want to touch on the comment that I made last week. I had made the comment that I did not believe that there would be an official announcement on January 15th that the Iraqi dinar would go international. And I got a lot of response from that, a lot of people, and it's probably my fault for not being a little bit clearer on exactly what I meant. So I'll try again. What I meant last week and what I believe has been confirmed is that there was no official announcement on the 15th of January, as postulated by some, that the Iraq would be going international officially. However, in my opinion, we're already done. I'll give you a couple of examples of what I mean by this and where we are. The first would be insider trading. What is insider trading? Insider trading occurs when things are happening within the securities markets which will affect the price of a given stock. And individuals that have privy to that information that is not yet readily available to the public, cannot use that information for a profit. Another example would be a graduation ceremony where individuals officially graduate and they receive their diploma. However, they officially, technically graduated 30 or 60 days prior to the graduation. The graduation was merely the public affirmation of what's already occurred. Well, that's where I think we are with the Iraqi dinar. And I want to just touch on the reasons why, in my opinion, we're already done. It's just a matter of when they flip the switch. First, I want to talk about the public statements and actions of three individuals I like to refer to as the three amigos. Soudani, Prime Minister of Iraq, Alak, Governor of the Central Bank of Iraq, and Barzani, President of Kurdistan. These individuals are on the same page, which says to me, once again, in my opinion, we're done. Why? First, the repeated and unambiguous statements that they make about a new exchange rate. Second, the meetings that they've been holding with the Treasury, U.S. Treasury that is, Dubai, which is basically the hub, financial hub, certainly of the Middle East and arguably the world, and Iraq's recent invitation to Davos, which is the World Economic Forum. Now, personally, I have no use for that bunch at all. But when we're talking about central banks, international banking, these are the people. You don't get invited to speak at Davos unless you're a player. It's just that simple. Then, of course, there are all the international contracts that Iraq's entered into to rebuild their electric grid, water systems, roads, the 19 cities that they want to build. Then there's also the currency swaps with other nations. Makes no sense to engage in a currency swap with a nation that has a currency that's restricted in a program rate. And then there's a couple of other things that have happened here. In my opinion, they've already occurred. One is Iraq's membership in the WTO. I think that's going to be pursuant to the papers that they've recently submitted. And their Article 8 compliance with the IMF. I think all of this is already done. I think everything is being done with the underlying assumption of a Basel IV compliant rate that Iraq will either hit immediately or through an incremental process very quickly once the dinar hits the 4x. Lastly, we have a contract with Ernst & Young to assist Iraq with the final restructuring of their banking system. Now, Ernst & Young is one of a half a dozen well-known, well-established global accounting firms. This one happens to be based in London. Very simply, none of this makes any sense. None of this is possible at a program rate. All of this requires that the Iraqi dinar be removed from its restrictions, be removed from the program rate. All of this is being done with the assumption that the Iraqi dinar will be on the 4x. Doesn't matter what the rate is, it's going to climb rapidly. We've discussed the rates. 322 is the rate that the Iraqi dinar was in when it was put into a program rate. Since then, the country is in far better shape than it was then. Add to that 20 years of accumulative inflation. So to me, 322 would just be not a resting place, but a beginning place. Another example, which I mentioned earlier, in earlier weeks, would be the Kuwaiti dinar, which is right now the most valuable currency against the U.S. dollar. I believe it's at about 345 against the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar is 345 for each Kuwaiti dinar. Let me reverse that. And Kuwait has substantial amounts of oil, but the amount of oil that Iraq has literally dwarfs that of Kuwait. To me, Kuwait, basically, its claim to fame is that it is the export for Middle Eastern oil to be distributed both in the East and in the West. So for all of these reasons, for me, the Iraqi dinar, whether it comes out at, say, 1-to-1 with the U.S. dollar or not, it should get to 322 within a matter of days and then continue to climb to a Basel IV compliant rate. The rate that I've heard in the past and that I've mentioned is $4.85. I'm not saying that it will go there. I'm saying that I wouldn't be surprised if it does get there. One of the other things we need to be careful about is velocity. A velocity occurs when everyone runs to a given stock or a given currency or a given investment. It's a crowd mentality. It happened with the Kuwaiti dinar, which I believe went up over $7 before it dropped back down to, I believe it was $3.46. So by extrapolating from that, we could easily see the Iraqi dinar perhaps go as high as $9 before it drops back down to $4.85 or even $3.85 for that matter. So I think we're done. I think they're dotting I's and crossing T's. I think they're all joining hands and they're going to make this leap together. And as I said, what I'm not sure of is they going to come out at 322 or something in that area, or are they going to come out at maybe a slight premium over the dollar? Either way, it's going to happen quick. The rate's going to increase when it happens rather quickly. As I said at the beginning of the call, we're not going to bother marketing the trust this week. We're very, very busy right now. We still have a lot of people to contact. Existing clients have last-minute questions about how to do certain things. Other individuals that want to apply for the trust are obviously in a hurry to get it done, and we're moving as quickly as we can. So we're going to dispense with a longer call this afternoon. If you'd like to learn more about Trusts Unlimited and the trust package, the Family Asset Protection Trust Package, you can go to our website, which is Trusts with an S, Unlimited LLC .com. That's Trusts with an S, Unlimited LLC.com. You want to request our initial no obligation package. You can either do that by email or phone. Our email address is trusts with an S, unlimited LLC @gmail.com. And our phone service is 307-274-4122. Again, this is a shorter call. There's no reason to belabor the issue. What I'm discussing with you today is in my opinion. And again, in my opinion, we're done. It's just a matter of when everyone comes together, puts the dinar on the Forex. This would involve a lot of players. It would involve certainly Iraq, the U.S. Treasury, the IMF, the World Trade Organization. I think all these entities need to be on the same page when this happens. But from my perspective, I don't know what else Iraq can do, with the exception of the disparity between the official rate and the street or black market rate. I think that's being dwindled, and I think once it hit the Forex, that would basically eradicate the black market or street rate anyway. So this is where we are. This is where we've been waiting, in my opinion, for decades, literally, and it's just a matter now of patiently waiting for the last shoe to drop. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen next week. It might take another 30 days. But in my view, we've reached the point of no return. All of the underlying agreements are done. Everyone's operating with an assumption, not only that the dinar will hit the Forex, but in my opinion, I think they have a rate in mind, a resting rate, whether they do that initially or whether it climbs to that rate. And all of the contracts and everything that's being done is based on those assumptions. So that's all we really have for this week. One other thing I will mention. Individuals want to listen to our replay, and it seems that YouTube is playing their silly little game for the third time in the last maybe 15 years. They've done this. It seems that whenever we get a little political in our discussions, our calls seem to move. They're not chronologically listed, but the most recent call is, you have to scroll down to find it. It happened before. Initially, we thought it was a glitch. It happened a second time, and we got a little suspicious. It's happened again. So, a pattern is a pattern. These clowns don't like political discussions that rub against their agenda. Frankly, these individuals don't want us to reap the rewards of this currency, which is why we're going to need to be really careful. Once we go to the banks, once we do the exchange, once we have this money, we have to make sure to pay whatever the tax is. If we can't get confirmation from the IRS on the tax status, we have no choice but to pay the ordinary income tax and file for a refund based on the information that I've provided in the past. And then we certainly want to invest very carefully because, once again, they're going to try to tax us to death. They don't want us to have this wealth, and that's just another reason for us to succeed. What do they say? The best revenge is to live well, and that's what we should all be planning to do. This is where we are this week. Our next call will be next Wednesday. Certainly, if something of a dramatic nature were to happen between now and then, we'll try to get out an emergency email and schedule an emergency conference call. But again, the brevity of this call is based on where we find ourselves right now. And marketing the trust this week isn't something that we're interested in because we have too many people we're working with right now, and we're watching very closely because, frankly, we have currencies too. We have families and friends and charitable organizations we want to work with, and we've got to prepare just like you do for what's coming, and I don't think it should be much longer based on the information being provided to us now. So again, we'll be back next Wednesday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Thanks so much for listening, everyone, and pay close attention because this could be a very important week. Take care now. Bye-bye.